Most of the major heroes in Greek mythology exist because Zeus cheated on his wife. Heracles, Perseus, Helen of Troy, Dionysus, Castor and Pollux, the demigods who define the entire mythic world, every single one of them is the product of an affair. Zeus, king of the gods, god of marriage, god of oaths, fathered almost all of them by lying, disguising himself, or forcing himself on women who had no power to refuse. You already know some of the stories. You probably do not know what happened to the woman who was married to him. Her name is Hera. She is the goddess of marriage itself, and she is remembered in almost every version of these myths as the villain. This is the story of how that happened. Look at the scale of what Zeus actually did. This was not one affair, it was not a handful of bad decisions. Zeus cheated on his wife constantly, publicly, across centuries of myth, with an intensity that ancient writers eventually stopped trying to catalog. And the methods tell you something. Zeus did not seduce. Zeus disguised himself. He came to Europa as a white bull and carried her off across the sea. He came to Leda as a swan. He came to Danae as a shower of gold falling through the roof of her prison. He came to Callisto wearing the face of the goddess Artemis, a woman Callisto had sworn her life to get close enough to assault her. He came to Alcmene wearing the exact face and body of her own husband on the night her husband was away at war, and she slept with him believing she was being faithful. These are not love stories. The myths sometimes frame them that way, but look at the mechanics. Every one of these women was deceived or overpowered. Most of them did not know they were sleeping with a god. Some of them did not know they were sleeping with a stranger. Zeus got what he wanted. A child was born. He moved on. And every time, the woman he left behind became a problem for someone else to deal with. Hera is the queen of Olympus, not a minor figure, not a supporting character, one of the 12 gods, goddess of marriage, goddess of women, goddess of family. Marriage itself is, in a very real sense, embodied by her. And she is married to the most unfaithful husband in the history of storytelling. She watches all of it. She knows. The myths are clear that Hera is almost always aware of what Zeus is doing. She sees the disguises. She hears the rumors. She notices when he disappears from Olympus and comes back smelling of mortal women, and she cannot stop him. This is the part of the story that rarely gets told clearly. Hera is powerful, extremely powerful, but she is not more powerful than Zeus. Nobody is. Zeus is the king, his word is law, and there is no court higher than him. Once she tried to overthrow him. She organized a coup with Poseidon and Athena. It failed. Zeus hung her from the sky in golden chains with anvils tied to her feet and forced the other gods to watch her suffer. Nobody rescued her. When she was finally released, it was on his terms. That is the context for everything she does afterward. Hera cannot punish Zeus. She has tried. It ended with her in chains. So she punishes what she can reach. Io is a mortal priestess. Zeus sees her, wants her, pursues her. When Hera nearly catches them together, Zeus transforms Io into a white cow to hide his own crime. Hera is not fooled. She asks for the cow as a gift. Zeus cannot refuse without admitting what he did, so he hands over the woman he just assaulted, now trapped inside an animal body, to his wife. Hera chains the cow to an olive tree. She sets a 100-eyed giant to guard her. Eventually, she sends a gadfly that stings the cow woman relentlessly, driving her across the entire known world in agony. Io runs from Greece to the Black Sea, from the Black Sea all the way to Egypt. A woman inside a cow chased by an insect for years. This is the story that gets told as Hera's cruelty. But look at what actually happened. Hera did not transform Io. Zeus did. Hera did not hide the affair. Zeus did. Hera was handed a victim by the man who created the victim and told, in effect, "Here is the evidence of what I did. Do with it what you will." She took it out on the evidence. That is not mercy. It is not justice. But it is what happens when the only target you are allowed to reach is the one your husband gift wraps for you. Callisto is a nymph sworn to virginity in the hunting band of Artemis. Zeus wants her. He knows Callisto will not break her vow for any man. So he disguises himself as Artemis, the goddess Callisto has devoted her life to, and approaches her in the form of the woman she trusts most in the world. Callisto lets her guard down. Zeus reveals himself. By the time she understands what is happening, it is too late. She gets pregnant. Artemis, seeing her swollen body, assumes Callisto broke her vow willingly and banishes her from the hunt. Hera, learning of the affair, transforms Callisto into a bear. Years later, Callisto's own son, grown into a young hunter, nearly kills her in the forest. He does not recognize his mother in animal form. Zeus places them both in the sky as constellations, the great bear and the little bear, a gesture of generosity, a kind ending, the myths say. But Zeus is why the situation exists. Callisto was a woman who did everything right, loyal to her goddess, faithful to her vow, and her life was destroyed because a god decided he wanted her. The constellations do not undo that. They just decorate it. Semele is a mortal princess Zeus sleeps with in disguise. In one version, Hera finds out. She appears to Semele as a mortal woman, befriends her, and plants a question in her head. Have you ever actually seen your divine lover in his true form? How do you know he is really Zeus? Semele, now doubting, asks Zeus to prove himself. Zeus has already sworn an oath to give her anything she wants. He cannot refuse. He reveals himself in full divine glory. Semele burns to death instantly. No mortal can look at Zeus unshielded and survive. Zeus rescues the unborn child Dionysus from her ashes and sews him into his own thigh to finish the pregnancy. Hera is blamed for Semele's death. But look at the mechanism. Semele was killed by Zeus's own nature. Hera did not create the trap. She just pointed at it and let Semele walk in. That is cruel, undeniably cruel. But the trap existed because Zeus had made himself a god who could not be looked at and sworn oaths he could not break. Hera found the flaw. Zeus built the structure. Then there is Heracles, the most famous case. Zeus wants Alcmene, a mortal woman married to a general named Amphitryon. He waits until Amphitryon is away at war. Then he disguises himself as Amphitryon, taking his exact face, voice, body, and walks into Alcmene's home on the night she believes her husband has returned. She sleeps with him, thinking he is her husband. The woman did not consent to sleeping with a god. She did not consent to sleeping with a stranger. She consented to her husband, and that consent was stolen. Heracles is born from that night. When Hera finds out, she sends 2 snakes into the infant's crib to kill him. The baby strangles them. She spends the rest of his life tormenting him, cursing him with madness so severe that he murders his own wife and children in a blind rage, which is what forces him into the 12 labors to atone. Hera is the reason Heracles suffers. But Heracles exists because Zeus deceived a woman into sleeping with him. The child of an assault grows up to be tortured by the wife who could not punish the assaulter. Greek mythology treats this as a heroic origin story. For Heracles, maybe it is. For Alcmene, a woman who did nothing wrong and never consented to any of it, and for Hera, a wife forced to watch, it is a trap both of them are locked inside, a trap built by a man neither of them can touch. This is what Greek mythology actually looks like when you stop treating Hera as the villain. She is not kind. She is not merciful. The women and children she destroys are not guilty of anything except being near her husband. Her rage is disproportionate, displaced, and horrifying to the people it lands on. But her rage is real, and it comes from somewhere. She is the goddess of marriage, married to a god who mocks marriage every day of his immortal life. She is the queen of Olympus, ruling beside a king who uses his power to take women who cannot refuse him. She is a wife with no recourse, no equal authority, and no court that will hear her case. The only people she can hurt are the ones Zeus leaves behind. So, she hurts them. Hera is not a cautionary tale about female jealousy. She is a study of what happens when power is unequal and betrayal is constant. She is what anger looks like when it has nowhere legitimate to go. The myths punish her for her cruelty. They should. What she does to Io and Callisto and Heracles is monstrous. But the myths rarely punish Zeus. A king who cheats forever, faces no consequences, and whose wife is remembered as the villain of his affairs. Hera was not the villain of these stories. She was the wife. And the wife was the only one anyone allowed to be angry.